So this is everything I don't like about my Worth 12,000 pound lift. I should have looked into these a little bit more before making a purchase, because I have a 10,000 pound Challenger, and some of the things that lift can do over this one is pretty crazy. And I don't like how old this one's designed. So this company's been around since the 80s, and I don't think they've changed their design much since. So it's got these style locks here to keep the arm from moving, but look how much that arm can move back and forth, like, and that lock is just a shit design. It doesn't do much. It's got these antique style adapters, and it only comes with these tall ass ones. So, you know, if you need a short one because you got this running board in your way, and then the tall one's too tall, well then you're screwed. I'd much rather have a puck style lift adapter. So it's got the screw jacks, right? And if you want to screw them down all the way, well then it's dragging the floor. So that's not cool. What else? Losing my train of thought here. Oh yes, one of the other big problems is on my Challenger and on most modern lifts, whenever you go to let the lift down, you pull this, which disengages the locks on both sides of the lift because it has a cable that runs across. Super convenient. On this lift, you have to come down here once this is in the air, and you pull on this lever here. And I had a problem with this thing out of the box. That so if you push this arm in too far, it'll actually bend that. See how it's hitting right now? If I push this arm, you can see my flash ain't on, but that's contacting right now, and this arm is not pushed in very far. So if you fold this arm in to, for whatever reason, to lift it up, to sweep underneath it or whatever, it bends that, and then your damn lift won't disengage when you go to let the vehicle down. The other thing that my brother pointed out is whenever this lift is in the air and you pull those locks to let the thing down, there's no mechanical safety keeping this thing from falling. If one of the hydraulic cylinders fails, this thing comes all the way crashing down, versus this one here, if you were letting it down and all of a sudden you had a cylinder or a line blow, you just let go of that and the lift would catch on the locks and you'd be good to go. It really, for a 12,000 pound lift, the arms are pretty damn short. This thing, it's a symmetrical lift, and the arms are not all that long. You can compare specs online, and that should have been something I should have looked at a little closer, because that arm only extends that far on the front and the rear, which this is only a crew cab Chevrolet, and I can't even reach the rear spring hanger, you know? I picked up this welding truck yesterday, and it's not overly loaded. You know, it's a crew cab Chevrolet with a pretty empty flatbed on it with just a welder on the back, and this is where I had it placed, and the lift was offset enough where it twisted like this, in like these beams twisted inside the main structure here, and the truck actually wouldn't come down without us hanging weight on the front of the vehicle. And I have this damn asymmetrical Challenger, and I have picked up trucks heavier than this with more shit in the bed, and that thing has never bound up once going down. So I don't know if it's got like nylon pucks in there that keep it from binding if it twists, but never had that happen. And this one, it did it to me yesterday, which was super uncool. It also does not pick up very high. It is way taller by probably about 1.5 feet than my 10K Challenger, and it picks up 1 inch higher. So whenever you're doing cabs, thankfully I'm not a tall person, but it really does not give you a whole lot more headroom. See what else. So if you pick up this lift and you set it on the locks, the hydraulic cylinders bleed down like all the way to the bottom, and the chain actually fell off one time on one of the arms. So unless you, for whatever reason, if you leave weight on the cylinders, it doesn't bleed down. But if you let the hydraulics bleed down, or like if you let the vehicle come up and you hear the locks, and then you press this button to let it down on the locks so that there's no weight resting on the hydraulic cylinders, somehow the air bleeds, or the fluid bleeds out of the system, and the cylinders bleed all the way down, which is super inconvenient, because then you gotta sit there and hold the button for like 30 seconds to let the cylinders come back up, to let the vehicle down again. It also, something I don't really care about, but it is a little bit mind-boggling to me, because I live in San Antonio, Texas, and this place is, these lifts are made in Texas, is how fucked up the paint came. So it doesn't really bother me, but this thing came like that, and I mean, there's some pretty big scratches that we put, stickers over and stuff. But this thing is an older lift, came all the way from China, and it doesn't have a single damn scratch on it. So I don't know. Oh, and then another huge problem that a lot of people were complaining about, if you look at the reviews on Worth Online, was that their lead time was just ridiculously far out. So they told me it was 12-week lead time, and I guarantee you it was every bit of 20 weeks that I had to wait to get this thing. And I kept getting the same runaround. I'd call up there and say, yeah, no, we're working on it, and granted, during COVID, so I understand, but if I had needed this thing in that 12-week timeline, and they guaranteed me it'd be ready in 12 weeks, I'd be awful screwed. The other thing is they pride themselves that it's made in USA, and you can't make everything in the USA, but there's a lot of stuff on here that says made in China. I think whenever you lift up the cylinders, on the bottom of the cylinders, they're made in China, so it's not 100% USA made. And that's kind of one of the reasons I bought it, was USA made, and I figured if I bought an American product that it would be better than a Chinese one, but I'm really quite disappointed. This lock, brand new out of the box, didn't work, and it still doesn't. Whenever you pick it up, this thing's like welded crooked, and so this thing doesn't actually engage the lock at all. So this arm can just move wherever it wants. But once again, even if it did engage, you saw how loose the arm was. It can move 4 or 5 inches in either direction, so it doesn't matter. Versus this style lift, I got a damn car on it right now, so I can't let it down too far. It's got these style locks, and that arm, that's as far as I can move it, and that thing is extended way further than that arm was there. So yeah, that's pretty much just, be aware when you're buying one of these what you're getting, and do your research, because I am not going to be running this lift for more than probably a couple of years. I'm going to try and buy a 12,000 pound bin pack, or a Challenger or something. I will say the Challenger 12,000 pound arms are way smaller than the Worth arms, but there's other brands out there. The other thing that doesn't make any sense is on the bottom of these arms, they have this brace welded on here, and the reason that is because you're trying to bend down on this when you're picking something up. So this extra weld girth here, keeps the bottom of this tube from bending down or ripping, or just extra safety. Well, what the hell good does it do if you put that on the top? There's no extra strength added on the bottom of that tube because you welded that on the top. I mean, I'm not an engineer, so you got to take that with a grain of salt, but it does not make much sense. So that's about it. Yeah, so their stuff is designed from the 80s, and yeah, so this is the pucks that I'd rather see on my lift, and I should have paid more attention when I bought it, but look how easy this is to adjust, and look how much adjustability you have. This is a 3-inch puck, that's a 6-inch puck, and you can stack several of them. And this one, you get this one damn puck, and it slides on like this, and then it's just fucking garbage. I hate this lift, should have never bought it.